Hello again, Keith here. I'm going to do the second Phalaenopsis repot for basically, one, it needs doing, it hasn't been done for a long time, and two, because it is absolutely infested with mealy bugs and I can't control it as it is. So I'm going to have it out of the pot and repot it, possibly into a smaller pot. We'll see what the roots are like when we get in there, but things are not right. As I said with the Phalaenopsis pulcherrima repot, that came back from a show with mealies on it, and I've been trying to control that one ever since. Somehow or other, some orchids, some Phalaenopsis in particular, I've found you really struggle to shift it no matter what you do, and you've got to shift it, because if you don't, you can have all sorts of problems. And I showed you in the intro to the previous video, if you look down at this one, I've got a split leaf, and it's undoubtedly been caused by these little swines down here on the bottom, and that's been sprayed and sprayed. So it's not been done for a long time. I suspect the bark is pretty rank. It's hard to tell because I watered it earlier on, which is when I noticed how bad it was again. So this bark is wet, it's not been stood. But these roots don't look too bad. They certainly don't feel bad. We've got nothing very much that's going to need trimming because they're dead. I mean, there's stuff I can move and take off to try and make it easier to deal with, but now that it's out of the pot, you can see what a blessed mess these mealy bugs can make of new leaves and what have you. They can really deform things. I say that's been sprayed earlier on today, and I hope that when this is not, oh my word, you see, that's the kind of issue you end up with where, I don't know how well you can see that, but those mealies have I don't know, it's a natural thing that they do to the leaves, but that really is really badly affected. The leaves are all deformed, they haven't opened up properly, and it's forming, here we are, there's the leaf. So it's one of those things that you end up with some caterpillars mostly, I think, but by affecting the leaf as it grows, they make a kind of a nest. It makes it difficult to get at, makes them difficult to spot and difficult to deal with. So that's fair enough. That's nature, but nevertheless, it's nature that's going to have to be looked at very carefully. Now, most of these roots are flexible because the roots on these are quite small for a Phalaenopsis. But as I say, there's very, very few that are actually no good at all. I'm pleased about that, obviously. Well, I'm going to do the same with this that I did with the others. I'm going to trim off what I can get to. As you know, this thing has flowered and flowered and flowered, and now it's in some kind of vegetative state, and it has been growing, well, it is growing roots and it has been growing leaves, but as it stands, despite how healthy this thing looks, I could see me losing it. I say, knowing what mealies can do to an orchid, and it's nowhere near as bad as the other one, the Phalaenopsis, but nevertheless, I'm going to put it into soak so that I can make sure as many roots as possible are flexible. Most of them seem to be. This leaf is shocking. So I'm going to get my SB Invigorator out and give it a going over. Show you a lot of the bugs are dead, they're floating off in this water, they're not sticking to the plant, but I really can't afford to have it struggle. Yeah, I don't know how long it's been in here, and it looks as if I've used Orchid Focus, which is, as you know, what I not very often use, but it must have been some time ago and it's starting to break down and there's some sort of fines developing in the bottom, so that all needs fetching out, nice fresh bark, and hopefully with that and a good spraying this can go back again and hopefully get it back into a decent plant. Look at repotting it. I tried a while back to improve the drainage in the bottom of this pot by cutting slots in. It only had these 4 holes in the bottom, and it's not an air cone pot, it's just a plain perspex pot. I wouldn't normally use this. This is a Stewart 16 centimetre pot, but most Stewart pots are flat bottomed like this. So what I'm going to do is put some extra holes in with my soldering iron. Wouldn't normally bother videoing this, but I don't know how many of you have actually seen this being done. It's not hot enough yet. It takes a little bit of time to come up to an appropriate temperature. There we go. Once it's hot enough, it'll just go through like that. Now what you do have to be careful of is not to breathe any smoke that comes off, because that means the plastic is breaking down, and a lot of these plastics, when they break down, can produce carcinogens. Now at the moment there's no sign of any breakdown. We're just going around here trying to put extra holes in, try and make the pot breathe a bit better, and I dare say that there's a lot of pots, not just for orchids, would possibly benefit from this. I don't think any plant likes to have roots that are soggy unless they're actually a bog plant, and there aren't that many of those kept in the home apart from the carnivorous ones. So yeah, there are plants that don't mind. Some irises don't. I've got some irises in the garden and in the pond because they'll take it either way. So let's put some extra holes in there. Should make it. Oh, it's starting to smoke now. So right, that is that. I'll unplug that, put it out of the way. let it cool down. Let the smoke swirl around over there. So the usual thing, I'm going to okay, the repot in this more ventilated pot. I've taken a leaf off here which was turning yellow. I hope I will be able to get most of these aerial roots down into the pot, and then when I've done that, finished potting it, I'll get the spray out and I'll give it a good secondary spray with this contact killer and try and make sure that everything's gone, that everything's dead that shouldn't be there, shall we? Let me say, it's the normal routine. Put a load of bark in, tap the pot to help distribute it, put it into the middle. We've got lots of roots all the way down, so we should be fine. Didn't always follow. I did, but I think it was this one actually. The first time I repotted it, it had colossal roots, and I thought, that'll be. Don't want to. I was told, you can cut Phalaenopsis roots off. Well, I don't like to cut roots off. You start cutting things off, it doesn't. Well, in my experience at least, you can end up sometimes doing more harm than good. And some plants react very, very badly to being pruned, whether it's roots or leaves or canes even. Some sympodial orchids do not like to be split or really messed about with at all. My Sherlock Tolkien has taken ages to look as if it's going to recover. I thought I was going to lose it. I might yet. Indeed I might yet. It's not it was in its pomp incredibly vigorous. It outgrew pots like no other orchid I've ever had. It was phenomenal. It got to the point where I said, I'll have to repot this, and big enough to split. Why don't you split it? And I split it, and I kept 2 bits, and one of those died, and I passed 2 bits on to somebody else. I've no idea what happened to them. Never got any feedback, but to try and get this little basil cakey out of the bark, which I'll give it a good spray, and hopefully that will sort out the beasties. So this is Phalaenopsis mini mark, which I've now had for quite a long time, so it would be a shame to lose it. But nevertheless, as I've tried to say with these 2 repots, these 2 Phalaenopsis repots, beware of mealy bugs. They will kill an orchid very, very quickly. You've got to keep spraying with whatever you can. Systemic is good for a start, but a lot of these things you can only do it so many times a year, otherwise you risk developing insecticide resistant beasts. And the other way to do it is to use a contact based thing. Some people use something called neem oil. I don't know what that is. But yeah, SB Invigorate has also got a soap type element to it, so it breaks through the water resistant coating that the bug surrounds itself with, and allows it to be damaged, become more vulnerable. So once you can do that, the soap settles on it, and basically it strangles it. It covers all the breathing pores on its body, and it'll kill it that way, and kill it quite quickly. But nevertheless, whatever you do, if you see a mealy bug, spray. And because you cannot kill any insect, and particularly in this case insect parasite, all at once, the eggs, the juveniles, the adults, and any stages in between are not as vulnerable as each other. Some are invulnerable, usually the eggs. Some, like the adults, can be very vulnerable, but you've got to catch them before they breed. If they've laid eggs, you've got another generation. So you've got to keep spraying and spraying and spraying and spraying one way or another until you've got as many of the adults as you can, and hopefully you're going to start to get to a point that you get catching them before they can breed. And if once you've done that, you can break its back, but it will take a long, long time. Don't throw your orchid away until it's absolutely dead, but it will kill it. You cannot leave it and keep your fingers crossed, because that won't work. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you found this one interesting as well. I'll look forward to seeing you soon, and bye for now.